Well,
Yeah, it's
hello,
nice.
everybody. I'm so excited to be on Substack Live with you, Josh, because I think I've shared with you that this is just an incredible audience. And people who show up here are actually really interested in what we're talking about. And that just makes me so happy. So,
Yeah, it is. You know what? I keep feeling more and more called to Substack,
yeah.
just because of everything that it is now.
Yes.
And yeah, every time I do something like this, it's like, okay, I need to like really. I think I've posted on here once.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Um,
welcome is what it is now because now
mm,
we'll like post this with you and then now you're in, right? It's happening whether
yeah,
you want it or not. But
fully, yeah, fully.
well, I want to welcome you and say hello. And you all, I'm so if you're coming here because you followed me before, I'm so excited to introduce you to Josh Connolly, which I think that he is one of the most. I was trying to think about how to explain you and your work, Josh. Profound, authentic, earnest voices in what's going on. You and I both don't like to call it the wellness space. I mean, do we call it well-being? I'm not quite sure, but Josh, I would love for you to share with people a little bit just about how do you even do this, kind of what your background is and your story and how you wound up in this space and actually kind of how you show up for people because it's very
Mm,
unique.
yeah, it is a big question.
Got a big life story, Josh.
Yeah, well, look, a brief overview. I got sober in 2012. And that's when I kind of really started a journey with myself, really. I went on a journey to understand myself and to start trying to heal, really. And I learned then about my childhood, and I grew up with an alcoholic father who I lost when I was young. And um, I realized actually that so much of what I struggled with in my adulthood, I believed could be traced to experiences that I had and buried and didn't talk about. And so I became really sort of passionate about finding and speaking truth.
Mhm.
And yeah, over the last 14 years, I've, you know, been actively working on myself. And for the last decade, I've been, I guess, sharing that journey with people and then helping people in a number of different ways from, look, I work with corporate companies. I work with some of the biggest brands in the world, from Dyson to Epson to Intel to Formula One, Red Bull, around resilience,
Yeah.
um, and developing emotional resilience. And then I have a big following online as well, when I help people that have, predominantly people that have struggled with dysfunctional upbringings, should we say. And yeah, I do that through breath work and, I don't know, coaching and community.
Mhm.
I'm a real activist at heart, really.
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you show up is what's so interesting. And I think the thing that maybe you guys I went on Instagram and just introduced myself to Josh, which I have a habit of doing. I mean, I think I commented on something you posted that really resonated with me many years ago now. But maybe the thing that I found so appealing about you and your work is that you really did take life experience that was incredibly traumatic. And I like not to overuse the word. I mean, incredibly traumatic experiences as a child. And you have found a way to address them by facing them head on, truly. And I think that it's very common for people to just try to push it down or now try to find maybe quicker fixes to address things that have gone on in the ways that you and I have talked about, kind of like in the trendy ways to do it. Where what I found is that you showed up for yourself and you started showing up for other people in ways that are very authentic and real and
Mm.
created work from it, which I think, a career from it, which I find so fascinating.
Yeah. I think that, one of the things that I learned is that, or that I've come to believe, is that if we're not careful, a lot of the kind of like healing, even the sort of mental health stuff, the well-being stuff, it just becomes another way to kind of suppress our truth. If we
Yeah.
can find a new way to describe it that means that we don't have to feel it, then we won't have to feel it, right? And
Right.
I think many of us really struggle with the intensity of emotions, right? I know I certainly do, right? I will try to avoid feeling how I have to feel at all costs, and so yeah, learning that and understanding, actually, if I can find and expose the truth, that's where true freedom is. So I always challenge the common narrative. I always challenge the common belief and question, is it right? Because I think we believe and trust so many things just because it's the way it's always been, or it's what everybody else is saying. And so I've always been a bit of a rebel at heart in that sense.
You are. And I think the thing that's interesting is now with the advent of social media, and it's just such a part of our lives, and we get all of this information coming at us all day. I think it's human instinct to take it all as truth and then try to sort it out from there. And so you all, if you follow Josh, what you're going to discover is that he is constantly pushing up against, what we hear all day long, and that what we absorb is just knowledge now that is so upside down. And I appreciate it so much because I think that you're willing to have the conversations and you're willing to challenge things that just kind of like roll over so many of us now. Like, oh, well, it's just the way it is. Or like, we just live in a misogynistic world now full of people who make horrible decisions. And you just get right back in there and challenge that. And I, I find it so interesting. I guess my other question is, as a man, I find it particularly interesting because people see you and they might make assumptions of what you're going to say. And you have such a clear voice on people living equal, fair, safe lives, right? And showing up and respecting everyone. And I'm kind of curious, did you always have that voice, or did that come from sobriety and really looking inside yourself?
I think it's always been there. I think I've always um wanted to support the more vulnerable. I've always wanted to support the people that I feel like get a hard time in life. I bumped into randomly in London somebody that I went to school with, and I was with a friend from today's life, and I bumped into this guy that I went to school with, and he stopped me and he said to my mate, I went to school with Josh, and he said, and I used to get bullied quite a lot, and he said, and Josh always stuck up for me and looked out for me. And I think that, so it was always there. It was always there. And
Mhm,
I think a lot of it is because I've always felt different, like
mhm.
I never felt like I weighed up to what it is to be a man. And so the way that I look, from the beard to the tattoos, when I was
Wrong.
younger, I used to shave my head. Yeah, like getting like muscles, like a lot of that is driven by this internal belief that all of my personality traits are not very quote unquote manly in the way that society has taught me. So I went down the route of trying to be what society thinks is a man, and it
Mhm.
nearly killed me. And so
Wow.
like I'm very big on like, yeah, let's talk about truth. Let's talk about who people really are. Let's have those difficult conversations. Let's dare to be wrong, Um,
Uh-huh. That is
dare
just
to get
so
it wrong.
counterintuitive to what is happening on social media these days, which I love so much.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard. It's hard, but
it
you must see it in your work, right? With like like with the nutrition and stuff, right? If you're trying to get people to um do the things that that you think are right, I'm sure sometimes you feel like you're swimming upstream.
I do, and you know what I think I do? I love to connect the dots because I find myself being really, interested. I don't know. I see people on social media like you, and I was like, I need to know this person. And I'm very curious about why I reach out and make these connections. And I think what you just said profoundly, there's something underneath all of this that resonates with me when I make friends with people. And it's what you said about trying to get to the truth and that how I show up here. And it's kind of why I think I said we should do something, we should work together and we can get into it, is that I just want people to see me as who I am and be able to be like, this is real life. This is what I'm doing. If any of this that I'm learning myself is going to resonate with you, terrific. But there's no filter, right? There's no
Yeah.
whatever. So, like, if I'm writing a book on anti inflammatory cooking, which I'm rewriting a book I wrote 10 years ago, I had someone say to me, you can't rewrite that book and talk about all your health issues because they're going to think that food actually didn't cure you the first time. And I said, I think it's like a much more interesting story to tell now that like food is absolutely part of the solution, but all this other shit happened to me in life. And so why pretend like I haven't faced other challenges, right? So I think it's actually about being human and showing up as yourself here as a human being and admitting that we don't have it all figured out, but you're curious. You're curious
Yeah.
to learn, and you're curious to get past just the veneer and surface of what everybody's saying. We all need to like be our best selves.
Yeah, and we like it's almost like suggesting that you might have your viewpoint of your life experiences might have changed over the last 10 years somehow means that like you got it drastically wrong at the beginning. And that's not true, is it? We like change and evolve and we do what's right for us in the moment. And like I've been on this journey of healing actively now for like 14 years. And if you'd have heard the things I was saying even 5 years ago,
Sure.
they'd be completely different to what I'm saying now. Some of it
Completely.
would be true, but much of it wouldn't be. And like,
Yeah.
but that's true of any living thing, isn't it? If you look at a plant, like you wouldn't go, well, that's a terrible plant because it looks nothing like it did 5 years ago,
Right.
right? It changes and it grows and it evolves, and that's the beauty of it. And so I don't tie myself too strongly to anything that I say. I stand strong in my beliefs
Yeah.
while understanding that they might change. I always say
You
to people, you
reserve
should
the right to learn more, right? To
exactly.
change your mind and to share that with people in like a really open way. And I think that, when we get into planning what our retreat is going to be like in person, I do think that sobriety plays a role in that for you and me. Like I
Mm,
haven't I'm only 4 years into this, and I just continue to kind of learn more about myself every day as I have found a way not to turn to a substance for comfort. I mean, there's
yeah,
still so I'm like, still got
totally.
plenty of reasons to like dig into food every day, right? But like, I think that I have changed significantly since I have just brought a different. I'm seeing life through a different lens now, right? And so
You,
things are changing,
yeah, yeah, and you're forced to. Like,
right?
when you can't use something to change the way that you feel, when you can't use a substance to change the way that you feel, you have
Right.
no choice. You have no
Yeah.
choice but to like work with the feeling,
Yeah.
and people often ask me, do you miss alcohol? And I'm like, I don't miss alcohol and the relationship that I had with it, but maybe there's a part of me that misses being able to drink a pint of liquid and just instantly feel a sense of ease, even if it was a false
Completely.
sense, even if it was a false sense of ease, right? Even if it wasn't
Completely.
real de-stressing, it bloody felt
No,
like it. And
no.
sometimes I need that, I feel like I need that. So yeah,
Socially, I miss that. I mean, it's just like when you're going to walk into a room of people and have to like make hard conversation, or you don't know people, or you don't feel comfortable. Yeah, I mean that it made it easier for a short amount of time, right? Or like
totally.
with chronic pain, like I could forget about my pain for a couple of hours. So
Yeah.
it's different to sit in it, and so this is what's so fun. I think for anybody who's been seeing information about this first retreat we're going to do together, we're planning one together here in Marin County, which I love that you're willing to come here. You had come here, God, was that last year? I don't even know when you were here.
Last year in October to November, I did a bit in San Francisco and then LA.
In
Yeah.
LA for your book, and we'll get into that as well. But I suggested we do something together, and he said, "Yeah, I'll come your way," which is so fantastic because there are so many beautiful places to do something like this here. But when we started to talk about what we can do to introduce people to our work together, and I said, "How do we frame this up for May 2nd online?" I love that you were kind of like, "What about just like being human and learning how to like sit in your body?"
Yeah.
And will you tell me, what do you kind of think that means? Or when you talk about that practice, what do you want to share with people?
Look, I think that every struggle I have in my life, or at least most struggles I have in my life, can be traced back to a sense of not feeling at ease in my body.
Mm,
When I feel comfortable in my body,
mhm.
everything else will fall into place. I mean, like, even when we talk about boredom or an inability to sit still, right? If you actually talk about what that feel, when you say, what does bored feel like? It's a sense of discomfort in my body. Like I need to get out of it, right? Do something. And so the more that I can find ways to feel comfortable and at ease with who I really am. So not just when things are going well, but when I'm struggling in my life, like, is every struggle in my life something I'm supposed to fix? I don't think it
Right.
is. I think actually it's something I'm supposed to find more acceptance around, like some acceptance of the ways that I feel. And so, yeah, like the more comfortable that we can get being in our bodies and with our bodies, um, I think everything else falls into place. And that is why, by the way, it sits like so well with the ways that we feed our body and the
Right.
nutrition and stuff like that, because um, my relationship with food, and you sort of mentioned it, but since stopping using substances, my relationship with food is something that I've had to really focus on over the
Mhm.
years, because it's one of the only, well, it's the only thing I have left that I can ingest that changes the way that I feel. So
Yeah.
I have to,
Yeah.
I have to be careful with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I yeah, me too. And it's something again that I'm still learning so much about and the pattern behind that. I'm a huge fan of studying why, and that takes me all the way back to as long as I can remember that food has always been my source of comfort. Like anything was going
Mm,
wrong in my life and I would eat or cook, right?
yeah.
Um what I love and what I'm excited to share with people on May 2nd. You guys, this retreat, which by the way, I put a link up. I don't know if people can scroll back to it and see it if you want to copy and paste it for later. We're going to be doing 2.5 hours together online. And a large part of that, I am going to talk about food. And I've learned so much about the foods that really calm your nervous system and help you stay grounded versus the things that send you off and running. And a lot of the homework I've done recently is about the how to consume all kinds of foods so you feel your best. Like I'm drinking my favorite coffee right now, but even understanding that when your cortisol spikes in the morning, the last thing you want to do is feed it some caffeine on an empty stomach, right? If you get outside and you see a little sunshine and you can eat some protein and some fiber first, you're great with coffee. So it's like kind of taking all of that to fit nutrition and feeling well into a typical life, right? So we don't feel like, oh, we can't have this, we can't have that, I can't do this, I can't do that. A lot of it is about how we use ingredients to feel our best throughout the day. So I'm super excited to share my part of things with everybody, and there will be a lot of tangible information. And so much so, I'm going to offer a second piece to that retreat the following week, just for recipes and more, hands on stuff I can share with people. But can you explain to people kind of the power of breath work and why you like to use this modality to kind of come into your body?
Yeah. I discovered breathwork like a number of years ago. And the reality is that I've become like an expert in understanding my experience, kind of like intellectually.
Mhm.
Um, and I still felt like there was a little piece missing. And when I discovered conscious connected breathing, where you breathe in this in a certain way, it sort of changed my life, because I was able to release so much from my body that I'd been carrying, to release a lot of the emotions. And so for anybody that doesn't know about it, when you follow a certain pattern and a certain breathing style, for when we do the session, it's like 25 to 30 minutes. You have a huge experience, like a huge physical and emotional experience. It's beyond what most people could believe would happen to them. And until you try it, you don't really understand the level of release that it can bring about. And it's something that should be accessible to everybody. A big part of my work has been trying to make breath work accessible to everybody. And been successful in doing that, really. And yeah, I use it in all of my work now. Anytime I do in-person sessions, they're all built around this breathing pattern, and people are having incredible experiences with it. Yeah.
I've done it. I don't know. I mean, I've been on retreats too where we do it daily. And so I don't know. I've probably practiced real breath work a dozen times in my life. And the thing I get frustrated about is I never take it home and do it myself, right? I get
Yeah.
really antsy and I always say, oh, I'm going to do this every morning. And I don't. And then every time I have someone guide me through it, it's transformative. And I
Yeah.
think you're right in that the 25 to 30 minutes, the physical reaction you can have to that is remarkable. And I think for me, I've been doing a lot of work on pain, chronic pain, and understanding that you can release pain in your body through different modalities like this, that
Right.
you literally physically feel different and the emotional impact it can have on you. I mean, I've done it where I'm laughing at the end. I've done it where I can't stop crying. My whole body is vibrating, right? It's just like this energetic release
Mm.
that's as old as time, which I think is super cool too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just
Yeah.
like, wow, all we needed to do was breathe and this is what happens.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm really excited about it because I think when people are like, well, why are you guys doing this retreat online? I was like, wouldn't it be nice to just wake up and just not be freaking the F out about what's going on in the world and be able to just be like, no, you know what? I'm going to be able to make it through today. And my nervous system isn't going to go bonkers.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it gives you you can have that experience where you do shut off, you switch off from. 'Cause there's a lot going on in the world right now, right? And the impact on our bodies and our nervous systems is so huge, like way beyond what we even recognize, you know? And so to be able to drop into something like we're going to do, I think is a great way to kind of get out of it, but also have like an experience that could have meaning on your life as well, you know?
Absolutely. So, do you have people typically go in with kind of an intention for what they're trying to maybe release or address, or do you breathe and then have people write about it afterwards? What's the
It
best way
dep-
to approach it?
It depends. It
Okay.
depends like what you're doing. I often like for people that have never done it before, I actually like them to just go in almost blind. And just like, look, we're gonna go in, we're gonna see what happens and see what it brings up.
Okay.
Um, some people really like to journal straight after. Me personally, on my personal practice, I like to just stay lost in the state for a while. I
Hmm.
find if I start to try and journal too quickly, I get back up in my head a bit.
Yeah, quickly.
Um, yeah, so actually I like to stay in it and just let it pass through me. But everybody's different, yeah. So
Right.
like at my sessions, lots of people sit straight up and journal straight away, because things
Okay.
come to them, and I think that's great too. Yeah,
And what to expect in terms of, are we all, because since we'll all be in our own homes for this one, do you recommend people lie down, sit up? What do you like for this?
yeah, you have to lay down. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
obviously we
yeah.
can explain it all, and then if you're watching on your laptop or your phone or whatever it is, headphones is best if possible.
Mm,
And then, yeah, you lay down because the experience is so intense. Your body, for a lot of people, when they do it for the first time, their sort of hands like clamp shut, and it's like a big experience. Before we do it, I'll explain everything in full
right.
detail. But yeah,
Okay.
I mean, unless health reasons don't let you,
Yeah.
you need to lay down, really. Yeah,
And eyes closed and comfortable, right? So, like,
yeah,
I don't know, I put in a pillow under my knees typically,
yeah. I think a
just
lot of
make
people
sure
like
that
to
my
do
head's
that.
comfortable.
Yeah, and like you can get lost in trying to do the perfect breathwork routine. And I'm like, look, if you lay down, get yourself as comfortable as you can, you're going to have an experience.
I agree, and I think that sometimes I've done it and it feels very hard to do the actual just breathing pattern that you'll lead us through, and other
Yeah,
times it doesn't feel like such a struggle, but I actually think that's kind of like where emotion is in my body on any given moment.
totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah,
okay, well, I'm super excited about it, and, yeah, I can't wait, and then I think that by May 2nd, when we do this together online, we'll have more information to share with people about our retreat in November, which will be a full day of programming on a Saturday at a beautiful place here in Marin County called Cavallo Point, and people will have the option to stay if they wanna come stay there on Friday night or Saturday night. But what we can get into, we can obviously dig a lot deeper into some, meaningful work together, but I am really excited for people to experience a taste of how we're gonna work together on May 2nd.
yeah, yeah. Me too. Me too. Yeah, I think that,
And
and people should come along and try it. Because it's
yeah,
an incredible experience. So just
yeah.
yeah, come and have a go. Yeah,
I can't wait. And for everyone who is on Amanda Haas Cook's Substack, I'm going to send a link out for signups today so that they get an early bird sign up so you can save some money, which is great. And I think that it is actually a great value for what we're doing and that you'll walk away with some really tangible tools and things that yes, not crazy things like you need to go get a sauna and cold plunge every day at 45 degrees and to do all of this to feel your best. Just some practices that are tangible that you can take with you, which I'm very excited about. And then, if you're interested in the second culinary piece, when you go to sign up, and I'll send everyone that link, it goes to a page where it shares everything about the retreat. And then, when you go to check out, there's an early bird checkout price. And if you want to take the culinary piece, the extension of it, you just have to purchase that separately at the bottom. But Josh, I'm so excited to be doing this with you. And I'm just
me
really
too.
grateful that you're willing to try something like this with me online before we
Yeah,
come together in person.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm really excited. I'm really excited. Yeah, I can't wait.
Okay. I joke, I'm like, let's have some fun together, but this is my idea of fun. Like getting real and like getting, feeling like you're actually, I don't know, more of yourself is my idea of
Totally,
a good time.
totally, totally. That's what life should be about, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. So, thank you. I don't think anyone's going to ask questions on here. A lot of people, I can't remember if I have it turned on for people to ask questions if they're not a subscriber, but you guys can always DM us, or you can also chat with me here in Substack if you have other questions. But you know how to find me in Instagram as well, everyone. So we can't wait to have you, and we'll send the link out this morning. And yeah, we can't wait to see you on May 2nd.
Exciting.
I can't wait. So we'll see. I'll see you on Instagram in a few minutes too.
Yeah,
And
you
we'll
will.
do
Yeah.
it all over again. But thank you so much, Josh.
Brilliant. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for
I'll
having
see
me.
you soon. Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.